the ice cream seller who taught math. When the sun rose over the bustling streets of Oak Ridge, the air shimmered with possibility. It was the kind of small town where everyone knew each other, where secrets were whispered behind fences and laughter echoed through the narrow lanes. At the corner of Maple and 7th stood a faded blue ice cream cart, the paint chipped and the bell slightly off-key. It belonged to Mr. Emilio, a man with a gentle smile, eyes that twinkled like mischief, and a secret that would change the lives of everyone he met. Every afternoon, as children spilled out of Oak Ridge Elementary, Mr. Emilio would ring his bell, drawing a crowd of eager faces. His ice cream wasn't just delicious, it was legendary. Swirls of vanilla, ribbons of chocolate, bright pops of strawberry, all scooped with a flourish and handed out with a story. But there was something more to Mr. Emilio than his frozen treats. He had a way of making each child feel special, remembered, and important. It was a warm Monday in May when Olivia, a shy girl with tangled braids and a love for numbers, first noticed something unusual. As she approached the cart, clutching her allowance, Mr. Emilio greeted her with his trademark grin. "Good afternoon, Olivia. Let's see, you have 75 cents today. If a single scoop is 35 cents and a double is 65, which one will leave you with more change for tomorrow?" Quote, Olivia's brow furrowed in concentration. She did the math, her lips moving silently. "If I buy the double for 65, I'll have 10 cents left. If I buy a single, I'll have 40 cents left." Mr. Emilio nodded, scooping a double and slipping an extra sprinkle on top. "Good thinking, but sometimes a little extra sweetness is worth saving for later. Here you go." Quote, word spread quickly that the ice cream man was asking math questions before serving his treats. At first, the children were wary. Math was homework, not something you did for dessert. But gradually, curiosity won out. Each day, Emilio posed simple questions, addition, subtraction, sometimes a riddle. He adjusted his questions to each child, making sure to challenge them just enough. Soon, waiting in line for ice cream became a lesson in patience and learning. The children would huddle together, whispering possible answers, helping each other solve Emilio's puzzles. The playground buzzed with multiplication tables and division tricks. Even the most reluctant students found themselves drawn in by the promise of ice cream and the gentle encouragement of the man behind the cart. One afternoon, a new boy named Marcus joined the line. He had just moved to Oak Ridge and felt lost in the sea of unfamiliar faces. When it was his turn, Emilio smiled warmly. "Hello, Marcus. If you have 2 quarters and 3 dimes, how much do you have in total?" Quote, Marcus hesitated, his cheeks turning pink. He stared at his shoes, embarrassed. Before he could answer, Olivia stepped forward. "It's okay, Marcus. 2 quarters is 50 cents, and 3 dimes is 30. So, 80 cents. Quote, Emilio winked. "That's right, but Marcus, you were brave to come up and try. That matters more than getting the answer right." Marcus beamed, and Emilio handed him a scoop piled high with chocolate chips. As the days passed, Emilio's cart became more than a place to buy ice cream. It became a classroom, a safe haven, a gathering spot for laughter and learning. He never scolded or shamed. If someone made a mistake, he'd simply guide them gently, encouraging them to try again. Slowly, the children's confidence grew. Emilio's lessons weren't limited to numbers. Some days, he'd pose a riddle that required creative thinking. Other times, he'd ask questions about kindness or honesty. If you have 5 friends and you share your ice cream with all of them, but one of them drops their scoop, what do? Quote, the children would debate, giggling and arguing, before agreeing that the right thing was to share again, even if it meant everyone had a little less. One summer evening, the parents of Oak Ridge gathered for the annual town picnic. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emilio parked his cart beneath the old oak tree, the heart of the park. The mayor, a stern woman with a soft spot for pistachio, approached him with a grateful smile. "Emilio," she said, "I've heard about your unconventional methods. The teachers say that test scores have gone up, but more importantly, the children are talking about helping each other, solving problems, and treating everyone with respect. What's your secret?" Quote, Emilio shrugged. scooping a generous portion for the mayor. Ice cream melts, but lessons last. I just give 'em a reason to love learning. The mayor laughed, savoring her pistachio. You do more than that. You make this town a better place. That night, as fireflies danced and the last of the ice cream disappeared, Emilio packed up his cart. He looked around at the smiling families, the children chasing each other with sticky hands and bright eyes. He felt a quiet satisfaction settle in his chest. But Emilio's story didn't start in Oak Ridge. Years before, he had been a math teacher in a big city. He loved teaching, but the world moved fast, and sometimes kindness got lost in the rush. When his school closed, Emilio wandered, searching for a new purpose. He found it in the simple joy of a child's smile, the challenge of a tricky equation, and the magic of a well-timed joke. He realized that learning didn't have to happen in a classroom. It could happen anywhere: a park, a street corner, even beside a battered ice cream cart. All it took was patience, imagination, and a willingness to listen. As summer blended into fall, Emilio continued his daily rounds. The questions grew harder, the children more confident. Sometimes, parents joined in, testing their own skills and laughing at their rusty math. One blustery October day, Emilio noticed a boy named Daniel lingering at the back of the line. Daniel was quiet, often overlooked, but Emilio always made time for him. Daniel, if you have 3 apples and you give 2 to your friend, how many do you have left? Quote, Daniel answered softly, 1. Emilio nodded. And if your friend gives you back 1 apple as a thank you, how many do you have now? Quote, Daniel's face lit up. 2. Quote, Emilio smiled, handing him a scoop with extra whipped cream. See, sometimes when you give, you end up with more than you started. Later that week, Daniel's teacher told Emilio that Daniel had begun participating in class, raising his hand, and even helping others. Something had shifted, a quiet confidence, kindled by the smallest act of encouragement. As the leaves turned gold and the air grew crisp, Emilio's cart became a symbol in Oak Ridge. Not just of sweets, but of hope. He had shown everyone that learning could be joyful, that kindness could change lives, and that sometimes, the best teachers wear aprons instead of ties. One chilly afternoon, a group of children crowded around Emilio, faces flushed from running. Mr. Emilio, can you teach us something new today? They begged. Emilio chuckled, eyes dancing. All right, today's challenge. If you have a dream that seems too big, and you break it into small steps, how many steps will it take to reach your dream? Quote, the children frowned, unsure. We don't know, said Olivia. Emilio leaned in, voice soft. That's the secret. You won't know until you try. But every step is worth taking. And every mistake is a lesson, not a failure. The children nodded, absorbing the lesson. They understood that success wasn't about never stumbling, but about getting back up, again and again. As dusk settled and the last scoop was served, Emilio lingered, watching the children skip home. He knew that someday he might move on, that his cart would roll down new streets. But the lessons he had shared would remain, woven into the fabric of Oak Ridge. Years later, long after Emilio had left, the children of Oak Ridge, now grown, remembered the man with the blue cart. They remembered the math questions, the laughter, and the gentle reminders that kindness mattered most. Some became teachers, others doctors, engineers, or artists. But all of them carried a piece of Emilio's wisdom with them. When asked about their childhood, they would smile and say, there was a man who sold ice cream on the corner. He taught us math, but really, he taught us how to live. And so, the legacy of the ice cream seller endured, a testament to the power of patience, kindness, and the belief that learning can happen anywhere, as long as someone cares enough to make it matter. In the quiet town of Oak Ridge, where the days flowed gentle and sweet, the story of Emilio became a legend. Parents told their children, teachers told their students, and neighbors shared it over fences on warm summer nights. The world changed, technology advanced, but the lessons of the ice cream seller remained timeless. For in the end, it wasn't the numbers or the riddles that mattered most. It was the belief that every child was capable of greatness, that every mistake was a chance to grow, and that sometimes, the sweetest lessons are served with a scoop of ice cream and a side of hope. And somewhere, perhaps on a sunlit street in another town, a bell rings, and a new group of children gather, ready to learn, to laugh, and to dream, thanks to the ice cream seller who taught so much more than math.